So James's meal doesn't look that exciting today. It's just lentils with pancharan and some brown rice. And we're going to be talking about Family Guy and The Simpsons. And this one's volume 3 of Family Guy. And I think that was the second season of The Simpsons, if I remember correctly. And then we're going to talk about some Three Stooges that we watched and The Pied Piper by Ridley Pearson. Which was an audio. Are you going to sit down?
Sure.
An audiobook that we listened to.
Also, we're going to finish up biological aspects of cancer. The stories of Bernard Malamud. I've got 40 pages left to go on this, but that's going to be finished today. It's just this will be our last posting till maybe until COVID, at least the second wave of COVID, which we're anticipating, and not with Beaver gets over and done with. And then good news for all man, which is good news for everyone, or something like that.
Well, we're concerned about the kids being back at school.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Well, and
people are saying, oh, well, they on the CBC, they keep announcing, we're doing this many tests per day. And it's like, okay, well, what does that matter when the population is way higher? And we know now that people can keep getting COVID. You don't get the immunity, you can keep getting it over and over. So, really, the kids going back to school, are all of the students being tested every 2 weeks or so to make sure that they don't have COVID? If not, then the testing's not adequate. You don't know how many people have COVID, and you're not. They don't have a handle on it. They have no control over it that way. So, anyway.
Yeah, it's ultimately you've got to test everyone in a certain population pool when there is asymptomatic COVID-19.
Exactly.
So I haven't been keeping track of it. What's happening on the CBC? Their shamelessly shameless coverage, or in many cases lack of coverage, because they're doing this, that, and the other thing, microbreweries and restaurants and all this sort of stuff. But anyway, do you want to start talking? We got a lot of things to cover,
Okay. Well, I was going to talk about The Simpsons and Family Guy. You'll notice that. Well,
you set it up nicely.
The Family Guy. Really, they knew that it was another take, kind of a ripoff, a little bit, right, of The Simpsons.
I take it almost as a parody of it. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, we'll call it a parody. That's nicer. And instead of having 2 girls and a boy, you have the 2 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
But they're both.
There's an infant there. He's a boy. That's the difference. And go on.
The not very intelligent man who's not very good looking with a beautiful wife, and each one, and both of the wives came from wealthy backgrounds. They both came, and not the men.
No.
And anyway, so there's a lot of similarities between The Simpsons and Family Guy. Only The Simpsons, there's way more characters that you get to know over the years. Phil Hartman played a lot of them, or did the voice for a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so that was sad when he died. A lot of characters from The Simpsons died. They're not real. Anyway, but with Family Guy, you don't have that. You have a certain number of people that you recognize, but they're not very many. Whereas The Simpsons, you get to know all sorts of people from the city that they live in.
Springfield.
And
Illinois, Massachusetts, wherever.
Who knows?
All the different Springfields in the United States.
But Family Guy, you don't get to know a lot of characters. There's very few. The people that, like these women who are the chorus girls here, they will never be characters that you will get to know. There's a lot of faces that are just faces. But with The Simpsons, eventually you get to know a little more about people. A lot of the time.
What's the name of the city they live in?
What? Quahog?
The Quahog. Yeah, that's Family Guy.
Anyway, I actually don't like either of them. Now they're okay.
Either of the shows, yeah.
Yeah, I can watch them, and we do own these, but that's because we would have bought them for next to nothing. And with this Simpson thing, you have to press it 3 times to get it to actually.
Yeah, they set that up.
They set it up. They thought it was a fun little game.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. I don't want to have to do it. And I'm the kind of person, I just want a play all button. That's the only thing I want to press. I don't want to have to scroll over to play all even with this. I want play all right away. That's it. And then I can go about cleaning the house or doing some artwork or whatever I wanted to do. Yep, a lot of sleeping. I don't think that was anyone we know.
Oh.
Sad little dog.
Geese.
Yeah, it could be geese. No, it sounds like a dog. Someone's crying. They sound very sad.
Maybe they just been left. Okay, that sounds better.
That's just angry now. They tried the crying thing, that wasn't working. Now they're like, hey, why didn't you let me in when I sounded pathetic?
Okay.
Anyway, so what was I going to say about this? 3 kids. It's Three Stooges. But anyway,
yeah,
that's a coincidence there. But this is about threes and how the American family, they're always trying to encourage people that that's the norm, to have 3 children. That's what you go for, a family of 3.
Well, that is strange because most people just want 2, right?
But yeah, which that's appropriate. A family of 2, the world population stays the same. Family of 3, the world population keeps on growing. So 3 is not appropriate. And that's what American families are encouraged to have when they watch this. They're like, oh, Family Guy, 3 children. Simpsons, 3 children. Malcolm in the Middle, 3 children. So many other shows, like Roseanne, wasn't that 3 children? Wasn't that 2 girls and a boy?
I don't think I ever watched Roseanne all the way through.
But it was popular. And
some people really liked it. I don't know.
What else? There's lots of shows with 3 children. Anyway, that awful sitcom that we were watching that was supposed to be, they were trying to show the Myers-Briggs personality type of thing, and they just did it wrong because the girl was not green, and I think she was supposed to be in. Anyway. It's
hard for yellows to play green.
Yes.
Yellows have a hard time
playing anybody that's not yellow. Honestly.
With shy people.
Yeah.
The only time I think I've ever seen Johnny Depp, I mean, he's got lots of other things in his personality.
He's so good.
He is good. But he's playing shy people. Right?
Anyway, yeah, I guess that's all I really had to say about that. The Three Stooges thing, the one that we watched was Swing Parade of 1946, Jerks of All Trades, and then some classic shorts stuff.
So there were a lot of shorts and stuff like that. I like the one movie where it's almost like a musical. There were very little Three Stooges in there. There was like 1.5 Stooges. I'm kidding. But the musical, they had some good singers and dancing, extravaganza.
Well, it's just so violent. I have a hard time watching it. But
I'm amazed that there wasn't a rash of blindness among children.
I know,
What?
yeah.
You know, like, it's stunning what no one would ever do that kind of stuff nowadays. Kids. Anyway, I used to love the Three Stooges when I was a kid. It was already old-fashioned when I was a kid, but still like it. Anyway, not for everyone, obviously.
No, and I hadn't realized that there was a different Stooge at one point. Not Curly,
Shemp.
but...
I thought it was Shemp, but it was actually Shemp. When you see it.
Okay.
Yeah. They got Curly. Curly's the classic one.
Yeah, he's the good one.
Yeah. I mean, he's the guy that makes it go, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he's working against
So without
Lola Larry.
him, it's not... It doesn't... work. But anyway, this Pied Piper audiobook was on. I slept through a lot of it.
Yeah,
That's
thank
all right.
heavens. You know,
It was
had trouble
not my
sleeping
cup
last
of tea, honestly. It
No?
was. It's a story about somebody who. It's a mystery, like a police mystery thing, about a child abductor, and they've called it the child abductor the Pied Piper. I don't know why. I was listening. I'm like, there's got to be a reason. You know, like when the police come up with some name for.
Zodiac killer or
Yeah,
something like
whatever.
that. Well,
There's got to be some reason behind it, right? Like, but I couldn't find, besides the fact that they're abducting children, which, I mean, that's silly. Anyway,
yeah.
it should have been somebody, you know, it's something to do with music or something. If it was, anyway, whatever. But it wasn't. And
there are things about this thing that didn't work, but I did wake up enough. Like I kind of woke up when you were going to sleep, and for the culmination of the whole thing, it was actually pretty well written.
I can see that the writer is a good writer because, I mean, they know a lot of words and they know how to string them together.
Yep.
And but there's things about the story that didn't fit. For me, I couldn't keep characters straight, so there's not enough.
Character development?
Yeah, or whatever. The writer does not know how to distinguish between different characters when, I mean, people speak differently. If I'm saying something, I'm going to say it in a different way than James will. And whatever. So, you should be able to tell just from, like, the mannerisms or from how the different types, different ways, words that are used or different ways that words are used and whatever. It's but I couldn't tell. So
I think this person more worried about plot.
yeah, but still I couldn't keep the plot straight. So there's too much. There's a lot of sex and stuff thrown in.
Well,
Why?
that was ridiculous.
Why?
Yeah.
It's a child abductor story.
It's kind of creepy.
Does that turn people on? Like, that has nothing to do with why is the sex in there. So that I didn't understand at all. And it wasn't even interesting sex. It was just sex.
Pretty gratuitous.
Yeah, just to be in there. Just to say, yeah, we stuck some sex in it, so that should make it so. I don't know. And the person that was reading the audiobook sounded like a grandpa.
He sounded like Ronald Reagan back in the day, in the 80s or something like that.
I don't know. So here I'm listening to this and I'm picturing my grandpa telling the story about like some woman with a dildo and then some woman getting tied up to a bed. And it's like my grandpa would never say that. And I don't want him to, you know? So it just didn't seem appropriate at all. Anyway, I didn't enjoy the story.
Okay, so all of these things are basically, if you can give them second hand, you like that kind of stuff, go first. But none of these really recommend.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. I feel bad for even paying. I probably didn't pay very much for these things, but like this one, this audiobook, I paid 25 cents. So that's okay. I feel okay about the 25 cents.
Yeah, we go.
16 hours, and there was some good sleeping involved in that. So if I can pay 25 cents for some good sleeping, well.
I'd say I got more than 8 hours sleep out of it.
That's good. So yeah, 25 cents well spent.
Maybe 12 hours sleep.
Because sleep is important.
It is.
James wanted to talk more about Wanderlust, so I packed it out here and it's on my lap.
Thanks for packing it out. I just wanted to say we had one more day of posting.
Yeah.
Posting this online, so I was able to finish it up. So it's just basically pretty well anything that we review. We might do a preliminary review. It gets done. Same sort of thing here. Last time I reviewed it was 3 pages short. It's now done. You know, it's not just cover and cover. It's cover to cover.
I have a problem with I was talking to my grandma, the French one. The other one's dead. The other day, and she said that she was talking about reading a book, and it didn't seem like an appropriate book for her to be reading, and I said, that is not a book for you. And she said, well, I have to finish books. When I start them, I can't, and I'm the same way. So if I get started on, it could be the worst book ever, and I'm like, oh, I hate this book, but I still have to get through. So it's all the way through, all the time, no matter what, it gets done.
It's not that way with me. But if it gets reviewed, all other things being equal, it gets done cover to cover. With me, that means the index, the preface, all this sort of stuff. Now, I did want to say about this, like I've started reading it again, and I was going through the introduction. I'm going, why was this so valuable? I think very short. Julian Huxley was a biologist, but he says he wasn't an expert in cancer. And what did he do? He decided to write. Someone asked him to write something general on cancer. And he said it took him a year, maybe a year and a half. We'll go with a year of just dropping everything and doing this. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so valuable, because he's not a specialist, and he's kind of getting an overview. And he says, he says one thing about the university system. He said, the shame with the university system is there's so much time devoted or wasted on teaching, on administration, and there was a third thing which I can't remember right now. And this is really the case
with COVID. If they don't get a handle on COVID right away, and it doesn't look like they're going to, then the school system should change. It'll have to. So it's been a long time now. We've been reviewing the great courses and saying this is the way that things need to be taught. You need to have the best instructors that are paid to teach, and then available to everybody, right?
People.
So you record the lectures once, well, probably a few times to get it right. But anyway, you have it recorded in finalized once, where it's perfect, where the instructor's like, yep, that's exactly what I wanted to say, and I am happy with it, and I put my name on that. I'm very happy with the work that I've done. Whatever. And then everybody learns the same way, because honestly, you go to we're talking about the private school system and the public, and how it's not fair. If somebody's parents have more money or whatever, then they get to go to private school, and the classroom sizes are smaller or whatever, and I don't know if that'll help them with COVID anyway.
It's not an unmixed blessing. You can imagine the kids your kids would be stuck with.
That's true.
Hoity-toity.
Yes, but anyway, the kids should get the same. In a democratic society, it makes sense that all the kids should have the same education, the same same health care, but I don't think that happens. I think when you go into the doctor, I wouldn't be surprised if they look at your zip code or whatever. They look at your address and say, okay, or whatever, and what I can get away with. Like with the city, I remember working parks, and one of the foremen, I was talking about how I just found they didn't give me a list of where the shrub beds were. I was just supposed to happen upon them. And but I was supposed to maintain all the shrub beds in the city, and so anyway, I happened upon a shrub bed in it was hard to find the ones that were in cul-de-sacs and stuff like that, right? You don't know where they're going to be. So anyway, I happened upon one, and it was an area where there weren't very many. There were poor people in that area, so there were a couple shrub beds in the area, one bigger one, and it was so overgrown it had never been done. It was incredible, and
low priority for those poor
it
folks.
was taking over half the street on all the way around it, because it was just overgrown past.
I've seen those cul-de-sacs.
Yeah. So I said something to my foreman, and another foreman was in his presence because they hung around a lot, and that foreman said, well, Oh, they don't care about, the people that live there don't care about stuff like that. You don't have to worry about stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's like, no, I think poor people do care about not getting fair, equal treatment. They just know that if they complain, nothing will get done. You know, they're accustomed to the system being biased and favoring wealthy people, right, over the poor people. That's all. But that's not fair. And if I am paid by the taxpayers, I will serve the taxpayers. It's so they should get treatment. You know, they're probably just renting, but their rent is paying the taxes for the buildings that the wealthy people own, that whatever. So they should get a nice shrub bed too. Anyway, that's the system that we live in, and I think that the education system should change. So
Big time.
Everybody gets the same most excellent instructor for that class, and then the rest of the teachers who are generally overpaid for their skill level. A lot of people are not good teachers, and in the public school system.
Or at the university level.
Anyway, I would know the private school system, but
probably pretty bad there.
They're probably pretty bad there too. You just have to pay them more.
Maybe I don't know what they do.
Maybe you don't. I don't know. But
they might not be unionized.
No, it might not get to the instructor. It just goes to some glitzy trophies or something. I don't know what the private system's like. Anyway, but everybody should get the same instructors, and then like it should just be a pre-recorded thing or whatever, and then you have teachers' aides instead of teachers. So you pay the teacher. You could have an actual teacher who's went through the education system, whatever, but I mean, they're not going to get the job for the best teacher, because there should be only one that's going out to everybody in the public system. The best teacher for biology level grade 10 or whatever should be teaching biology level grade 10 and for everybody, right? And then
province-wide,
yeah,
nationwide, or in case of North America, continent-wide.
Yeah.
Because basically all the way down to Rio Grande, it's the same
Then
language.
you can afford to have more teachers' aides. So schools keep, and parents, they keep complaining about, and teachers keep complaining about larger class sizes, and they can't reach all the children. Well, you pay each teacher a little bit less, because frankly in Canada they are making too much. Then you can have more of them. So you have, all of a sudden, smaller class sizes. And a lot of the work can be done at home. They don't need to be, if this is one teacher and broadcast through the internet, or accessible through the internet, whatever, then the kids can be learning at home, go in for when they need extra help or whatever. And then you don't necessarily need to worry about whether somebody's sick at home with COVID in isolation for, it shouldn't only be 2 weeks, it should be a month.
Maybe. So, yeah, I think the education system could be a lot cheaper per unit.
Yeah, and then the universities, the instructors there, it could be run more for research. A lot of the instructors, they don't want to teach. They want to do research.
Yeah.
And they could.
Yeah.
They could do more of it, because they're the best teacher for chemistry, 4th level chemistry or whatever, could be doing that for everyone. And then there could be the teachers that are on site at universities could be more like teachers' aides, and then they have more chance to I mean, there'll still be labs that people will need to take, because you can't do that online or whatever. But yeah.
Be a lot cheaper.
Yes.
And I think at the lower levels, it should be actually that education should be required all the way through age 20.
25, I think.
maybe.
Kids
But,
aren't mature until 25.
There you go.
Your prefrontal cortex is not developed
And
fully
they're
until
probably
age
pretty
25.
useless at hired at anything. That way you could.
And then you can specialize after that. Honestly, I don't see a reason for that would weed out the aggressive personality types from getting all the top level jobs, because they're going to peak before age 25. And so the system has actually been rigged to favor the aggressive personality types, because they're going through the school system and finishing before age 25 for the most part, right? All of the studies stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it, they're just built, so they're favored. So
They'd be
all
through
of a
their
sudden,
masters by then, basically.
yeah. So if you don't specialize until after age 25, all of a sudden the passive people have a shot at the better jobs, and they actually are more deserving of them because they keep learning. Passive personality types keep learning, whereas the aggressive personality types don't. So
Boom, age 25.
yeah.
Professors maybe age 30. Yeah. Well, they probably stopped learning even before they got their PhD done. Anyway, good news for all men. Gone all the way through. I basically have taught myself Sierra Leone Creole, which is a particular type of Creole, West Africa. I started at the beginning of the year. I can remember taking it for the new treatments I started at the beginning of the year. I'd only take it occasionally. I'd take other things like the Hebrew Old Testament, stuff like that, or Hittite grammar. But it just snowballed, and towards the end I was going through about 50 pages a day at max. So it doesn't look like a lot, but it's actually 500 pages. You can see
488, yeah.
And then
so,
there's beginning material and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
so this is not recommended for everyone, but it's a good way if you know a little bit about.
I enjoyed hearing you talking about it while you were going.
Lannon boy, that's Disciple. They've got some interesting locutions and things like that. Way of making this stuff approachable. I think they were saying they don't use field.
I'm glad to see that the golden berries did not freeze.
Well,
I
that's
took
good.
a chance and I left them out because,
Yeah,
frankly, I was thinking, should I let them die this year? I've had them alive for a few years now. Bring them inside and whatever, and I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're giving us oxygen inside, so maybe I should bring them in, but
yeah, pretty heavy. I don't know. All right,
bring that wheelie thing.
One last thing. Not quite finished this. 40 pages left to go. It's going to be done by the end of the day unless something weird happens. One more hour of reading, but we got to get this done in order to get Wanderlust back to the library and stuff like that. So
yeah, I got to get it.
This story's of Bernard Malamud.
If it fits in the slot.
You can see Bernard Malamud there. I presume that's him, not his publisher. Actually, pretty good writer. Yeah, these are short stories. A pretty good writer. They were talking about getting different voices and sounds and stuff like that. Pretty good.
All right.
He's pretty good at having people do a slow burn. He'll say someone's. I can tell. I get the impression he's maybe a shy guy, maybe. I know. But they're doing a slow burn and they're getting mad about this, that, and the other thing. Why would someone do that? So, I don't know. I've kind of enjoyed it so far. I'll probably enjoy the last hour of reading. Anyway, there we go.